Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. Police have given a new update in the escaped inmate case out of Pennsylvania. Warren County, Pennsylvania, 34-year-old Michael Burham escaped July 6th. Used some sort of rope, got to the top of the jail and ran off. Allegheny National Forest is there. Authorities are using planes, helicopters, over 100 law enforcement personnel is looking for this individual. Police have given an update. I'm going to share that update with you right now. If you've seen this individual, contact Pennsylvania State Police or authorities immediately. He is considered armed and dangerous. Check out this press conference and then subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. I'll give you updates on this case. Check it out.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Operations with the Pennsylvania State Police. This afternoon up here with me I have Warren County Sheriff Brian Zabel. I have Major William Maitland, the Pennsylvania State Police Area 1 Commander, and Warren County Assistant District Attorney Cody Brown. To recap why we're here, Michael Charles Burham, 34 years of age, was in Warren County Jail on a $1 million bail for kidnapping, burglary, and related charges. During the late hours of Thursday, July 6th, Burham escaped from the Warren County Jail. Burham was last seen wearing a denim jacket, orange striped jumpsuit, and Crocs, but as we have told you previously, he has likely changed clothing. Burham is a self-taught survivalist with military reserve experience. We believe he has previously prepared to conceal himself in the woods. As previously reported, our searches have revealed small stockpiles or campsites in wooded areas. We continue to receive a strong response from the public to our request for assistance with information. The pace and scope of this investigation has continued to dramatically increase as we investigate leads in this area and adjacent states. Several of those leads included possible sightings last evening and overnight, as well as discovery of break-ins of unoccupied structures or cabins. We continue to use technology, and that includes DNA for comparisons to either include or exclude Burham from those sites. There are currently in excess of 15 federal, state, and local agencies actively participating in this manhunt. Investigators remain convinced that Burham remains in this general area, but as I have indicated previously, we are aggressively following up on all leads. Numerous state and federal partners in adjacent states are working very closely with us on this matter as we work to ensure the safety of the public. We continue to ask that people nationwide familiarize themselves with the picture of Michael Burham, and please contact us if you believe you may have seen him. Burham is considered armed and dangerous, and we ask the public not to approach him. Anyone with information is asked to contact our command post at 717-265-9650. This is a new number as we have relocated our command post with the expansion of resources. We will continue to answer calls at the number that's been previously provided as well. I am also announcing that an additional $10,000 reward has been offered by Pennsylvania Crime Stoppers, bringing the total reward to $19,500, including rewards offered by the U.S. Marshals and Warren County Crime Stoppers for information leading to Burham's apprehension. This remains a very active investigation involving in excess of 200 state, federal, and local law enforcement officers. PSP and our partners are utilizing all appropriate resources, and we are committed to the safety of the residents in Warren County and beyond. And again, I urge anyone with information or concerns, please contact our command post tip line at 717-265-9650, and we would be happy to take your questions at this time.
Lieutenant Colonel, do you have any confirmed sightings?
We have had a number of sightings reported. None of those has panned out. When I mentioned to you earlier about the technology, and one of the things that we have done throughout this is when we have a sighting that appears to have some possible legitimacy, when we can, we will do something like DNA testing. We use rapid DNA technology. It allows us, as I said in my remarks, to either include or exclude. To this point, I do not have a case where we have included him in one of those sightings.
What about the break-ins, and you mentioned there's been some break-ins and vandalism. Can you elaborate on on that?
Yes. So we're covering a lot of ground out there, and there are many public and private cabins. There are structures associated with oil and gas wells. Just a variety of structures out in the national forest, and on private property as well. As we cover that ground, we're finding in some cases places have been just allowed to be unlocked or otherwise unsecured, and we're finding some that it appears that there may have been entry at some point in time in the past. And one of the things that I think you should know, some of these structures are not checked on very often, and so the fact that we find one that it appears someone may have been in there doesn't necessarily mean it was Burham. And so that's where we use additional steps to try and determine whether it may have been or not. A normal crime continues to go on while this investigation goes on, and people still break into things, and so we find that.
Have you connected him to any break-in vandalism specific location?
We have not conclusively done that. We have testing that's out on some locations. We continue to investigate others, and we continue to sweep through those areas. We are still finding some items that we do believe are connected to him.
Lieutenant Colonel, you say you remain convinced that he is in this area. What, if anything, has developed over the last 24 hours that leads you to continue to hold that conviction?
I'm not prepared to discuss those specifics, but I can tell you that, as I just said a moment ago, we continue to find items. Those lead me to believe that there is still a likelihood that he is here. I also look at the absence of proof that he has gone anywhere else. And again, without telling you all of the factors that go into that, we constantly reevaluate that position. And again, we don't discount tips or leads that take us out of this area or even out of state. We work with our partners to follow up on those.
So you have found items within the last 24 hours?
We have.
When you say general area, what do you mean?
Again, I'm not going to define the perimeter of the search area. It changes on a daily basis, but within this area of northwestern Pennsylvania, I would.
So do you mean the area where he would still be familiar with, an area where he might have relatives, an area that, again?
I think it's fair to say an area that he would be familiar with, yes.
Would that include, sir, southern tier of New York State, since his relatives live there?
We continue to investigate all possibilities as to whether he may travel to the southern tier of New York State.
Lieutenant Colonel, how often are you getting calls in or tips from the public, and do you investigate each one every time a call comes in?
We are getting tips on a very regular basis. Certainly after coverage like this, it helps us. It does generate additional tips and leads, and yes, we do follow up on every one.
Lieutenant Colonel, you mentioned
Has the
yesterday.
family been cooperating? Friends and family, have they been helpful?
As I've previously stated, I don't want to characterize the family's cooperation or lack thereof. That's all part of our investigation, and I don't think it would be appropriate for me to comment at this point on that.
You mentioned
believe he's
yesterday.
getting help?
You mentioned yesterday that you believed that he was receiving help. Still, you didn't go out and flat out confirm it, but you said there was a possibility, maybe more than just a possibility. Do you remain convinced of that?
I have a strong belief that he is receiving help.
And continuing to receive help, that there was
Yes.
more that, so that over the last, 5 days, there's been more than one discovery?
I don't want to characterize it specifically, but I have, based on everything I've seen, I do believe that he is receiving help.
So what is it like to conduct a search like this from your point of view, knowing that there's a dangerous individual out there, there's a lot at stake, but you are seeing so many agencies come together to do this?
I think it's an amazing thing to see the resources that are brought to bear. It's what each of our agencies does. And so to be able to use the talents of all of the people of the state, local, and federal agencies that are involved, the resources that they have at their disposal, I think it's the right thing to do. That all of these agencies have taxpayer-funded resources available, and they're using those cooperatively in order to bring this to a close as quickly as possible.
Sir, how hard or much harder is it knowing
That certainly makes it challenging, but I will tell you that that's not an unusual thing to occur in an investigation like this. And so, we adjust for that. And again, I caution anyone that is currently giving help or is contemplating it, we will prosecute you for it.
Lieutenant Colonel, do you feel any more confident today than in the last few days of the search?
I remain confident throughout this that we're on the right track and that we will eventually capture him and put him back into the criminal justice system.
But not any more confident than the last few days?
I've been confident throughout this investigation we will capture him. It's a matter of time.
Let me ask the sheriff, there was a report in the Post-Journal today providing a timeline based on the Warren Police Department who's handling the investigation. And in there, the police department actually confirmed it with me, that because you guys, they could not get access to the surveillance cameras outside the jail, they maintained that Burham had a 90-minute lead before anyone could determine what direction he went in. Is that accurate, and why did it take so long to get access to that footage?
I guess I will speak to that in broad strokes, if you would. I was there personally very quick. We had the city police were on scene almost immediately. The technology part of that, of getting that technology to the police department or anything of that nature, I have nothing to do with whatsoever, and I won't speak on that, but it did come from the building, from the actual courthouse at 407 Market. However, back to we'll just say the head start. Literally, I would say that Burham saw red and blue lights within 2 minutes of leaving that jail. They were that close. The corrections officers were literally within 2 minutes in the parking lot. But the direction of travel was, again, it was kind of confusing. However, there were people there. The response time couldn't have been any quicker. I mean, it was that fast. But yeah, for the technology, I can't speak on that. That is not my department or anything of that, or my investigation to speak on.
And Sheriff, I know you're not running the investigation, but are you concerned about any type of negligence or any type of inside help he may have received from someone inside the jail?
Again, there's a county investigation going on for internal issues or any problems that may arise. But again, working hand in hand with the Warren City Police Department, I do not want to interfere with anything that they may be doing or not doing. But I can tell you, they are, through their investigation, it will bring out anything that may be of an internal issue of that sort.
Another question for the sheriff. Have you seen the surveillance video on the outside of the building?
Believe it or not, of all the things I've been doing, I have not actually sat down and watched the entire thing. I've seen flash pictures of it, in and out, being a liaison the night it was basically being viewed by other law enforcement. I was in and out of that room, again, handling other responsibilities that I had. I have seen bits and pieces of it, but to say I sat and watched it in its entirety, I have not.
You said that within 2 minutes, the suspect saw red and blue lights, correct?
Well,
The question is, did the officers see him?
I would say no, because again, the terrain around this county is very wooded. The yards are still wooded and trees and all that. But my point there is, with that quick response, not within the frame of a camera, but they're almost simultaneously on film. It is that fast. We'll just say, one leaves the frame and within a minute the other one comes into the frame type thing that I've seen in a flash picture of what I've seen in that video. So there's no doubt, just again, making an assumption of his timeline, he would have had to see them. There's no way. I mean, it's very dark there. Those red and blues are made for that, for visibility. And my guess is he would have seen it because they were that close behind him.
Sheriff, accurate to say that changes need to be made at the prison, that someone was able to get into the yard with bed sheets undetected, get to the roof undetected, swing down undetected, and escape. The changes have to happen?
I would say that's just common sense that would say that. If a deficiency exists, and again, there's investigation into the deficiencies thereof, again, not intertwined with the Warren City Police Department's criminal investigation.
As the days continue on this and hours ahead, how will you continue to have such a full amount of resources and law enforcement to help you to be able to continue at the level and pace you're at right now?
We have structured this investigation and manhunt in a way that it is very sustainable. And so, yes, we will continue to devote the resources to it. We're not simply going to walk away, and that's my message to Burham. We're not going away. We absolutely will be incarcerating you again. It's only a matter of time.
Lieutenant Colonel, you've mentioned that the tips that you found have been in either rural or kind of isolated areas. Are you saying that the focus here has shifted away from the city of Warren?
I think that it's fair to say that more of the information has pointed us to the rural areas, but not exclusively. We continue to get some tips in the city. We continue to do some searches in the city. But again, fair to say that more of it is moving away from there.
Lieutenant Colonel, we couldn't help but see that Black Hawk flying around as we came in here. And we know you don't want to talk about technology, understand that. But can you effectively use FLIR and things like that? We know what FLIR is. Can we effectively use things like that when it's a warm climate? And have they been effective at all? And perhaps getting an inkling of where he could be at all?
We can absolutely use that and other technologies. There are some things that impact it, and times and places that make it even more effective. But it is absolutely very effective in this particular situation, and we are utilizing it on an almost constant basis.
Lieutenant Colonel, in terms of the scope of this, you said that there are 200 law enforcement officers involved now, and I believe you said there are just 2 states, Pennsylvania and New York, or is there another state involved? Or can you say...
We have had tips beyond Pennsylvania and New York, and so there have been other states involved as well, where our partners in law enforcement have followed up on tips or pieces of information that we've provided to them.
And how many other states, where, can you tell us?
I'm not going to talk about where, but I would say probably about 4 other states besides the other 2.
With tips suggesting he might be there.
With tips suggesting that someone saw something suspicious that they wanted to report, possible sighting, or information that they heard from someone else and they wanted to pass along.
And again, none of those you have been able to conclusively tie to him.
Correct.
Can we get the tip line number again?
I said, Lieutenant Colonel, can you just characterize, I know you didn't want to say exactly where you're searching, but along the same lines of scope, can you characterize how large this radius may be that you're immediately looking at? Are we talking tens of miles, hundreds of miles here?
Again, because those tips frequently, periodically take us out of the area, it's hard to say that there's a certain scope. Much of our effort is focused in northwestern PA and the southern portion of New York. There are times, again, where information is received that takes us beyond those limits.
Lieutenant Colonel, is there any indication that Burham was injured? We saw some reports that he might have been injured when he fell to the road potentially when he was escaping.
I've seen those reports as well, and I really don't want to comment on our thoughts on his condition at this point.
Can we have the tip line number again?
Certainly. The tip line is 717-265-9650.
Lieutenant Colonel, you can't have a search in this area and talk to folks here without hearing the name Bucky Phillips brought up over and over again. What has changed, especially technologically, that may help a search 17 years later? And are there lessons to be learned from that that can be applied now?
There are certainly always lessons to be learned. You know, over the years, we've had a number of searches across the Commonwealth, and many of us have participated in those searches. There are always things that we take from that and we learn and we apply to the next one. And that would apply to the other agencies that are here as well. Many of them have conducted searches in other parts of the country, and they bring those lessons here. What I would tell you is that the technology is constantly changing. Much like your cell phone changes over a period of a few years, so does the technology that's available to law enforcement. We try to stay ahead at the cutting edge of that technology and be in a position to use that. And again, that's where I'm so proud of the talent that we have in our agency and our partner agencies here, because they really do bring all of that to bear.
Have you been searching
I'm not going to comment on a specific search area, but again, it's fair to say that that's certainly included in the areas that we've searched.
And furthermore, how difficult is it to search waterways?
In terms of under the water?
That's a question they sent me, but is it hard to search in the area where there are waterways?
No. No, we have technology that we utilize in water searches as well.
Sir, have there been any changes in the last 24 hours to indicate that people here in our community should be responding any differently?
No, again, I think all along, we've tried to tell people they need to be vigilant, they need to secure things, they need to make sure their homes are locked, that he can't get to a stockpile, or to supplies rather, that he can't easily steal a vehicle, those kinds of things. But I do believe it's fair to say he's a dangerous individual, and people need to be alert to that. But they should still feel free to go about their normal routine.
Lieutenant Colonel, has there been any sort of, you said you're still conducting the business, has there been any uptick in other crime from people maybe looking to take advantage of the resources you're devoting to this matter?
Again, crime continues. I wouldn't say that I've seen an uptick. I would just say that crime continues even while this goes on.
Sir, are you aware of Burham contacting whether his family or friends or anyone on the outside since he's escaped?
I wouldn't comment on any contact he may or may not have had. I thank you all for helping get the word out so that people are seeing his picture, that they are looking for him, and that they continue to call in tips. We very much appreciate those tips. It's helpful, and I remain confident that one day we will be standing here talking about the capture of Michael Burham. Thank you.